In recent years, Americans have been forced to face a harsh truth: rent is rising faster than you can even breathe. Healthcare costs keep climbing, without pause, and every bill, electricity, water, medication, is somehow higher than the month before. But retirement income, the money you spent your entire life working for, remains frozen, as if time itself refuses to move. For many people, life is no longer living, it is surviving. And the cost of that survival has become so heavy that it drains you day after day. Then comes the question that echoes quietly in your mind. Is there still a place where you don't have to spend 70% of your income just to exist? It feels like a desperate question, one that people ask only when they're tired to their bones. But hidden inside that question is a doorway that very few Americans ever realize is open. Because the truth is, yes, there are still places in this world where you don't have to trade your entire life just to pay for a roof over your head. Places where a meal comes from a garden behind the house, where communities welcome you with genuine smiles, where a clean room, a warm plate of food, and a peaceful day are not luxuries, but simply part of daily life. In these places, you can live almost free, supported by a few hours of gentle contribution each day. No pressure, no competition, no mountain of bills waiting for you at the end of the month. And the most surprising thing of all, these places are almost never mentioned in American media. They are not expensive tourist hotspots or glossy top destinations trending online. They are quiet lands, humble nations full of kindness, places where life slows down, softens, and becomes light enough for you to finally breathe again. Today, I will take you to 5 countries that most Americans hardly know yet. They are places where you can begin again a life that is simple, warm, and almost cost-free. If you are tired of rising bills, rising rent, rising pressure, then this journey may be the doorway into a new chapter of your life, one where peace finally feels possible. Country 5, Albania, where mountain villages host you like family and costs fall to nearly zero. Albania is one of Europe's most beautiful secrets, a country most Americans never think about, yet it can make you feel like you're living inside a soft, nostalgic film. The first surprise for many people is the visa rule. Americans can stay in Albania for up to 1 year, without a visa, something almost unheard of anywhere else in Europe. You can come live, breathe, explore, and if you fall in love with the country, extending your stay is incredibly simple, as if the land itself is gently inviting you to remain. But what makes Albania a place where you can live almost for free isn't the visa. It's the mountain villages in the north, Valbona, where time moves so slowly you can hear the sound of stones rolling under your feet. Here, local families open their homes to Americans the way you would welcome a long-lost relative returning after many years. They give you a clean wooden room, hot lunch, warm dinner, and all they ask in return is a couple of hours of light work, watering the garden, tidying the kitchen, harvesting apples, or helping prepare meals for guests. No pressure, no one counting hours. Everything flows as naturally as the mountain air. Around the Shkodër region, eco-farms welcome foreigners with the same spirit. You contribute just 3 hours of simple work each day, and in return you receive food, housing, and full daily living completely free. These places aren't commercial tourism projects. They're small communities where everyone lives together, eats together, tells stories by the wood fire, and watches nature grow day by day. If you choose to live independently, the cost is unbelievably low. A clean room is only $150 to $250 per month. Meals in local villages cost $2, $4, and most people spend $350, $500 per month in total. For many Americans, that's even cheaper than their electricity bill back home. And then Albania becomes unforgettable through its cinematic way of life, something you receive without paying anything extra. In the morning, you wake up in the Theth Valley wrapped in silver morning mist, where the first sunlight touches the rooftops of old stone houses. You hear the stream singing below the hill. The wind carries the scent of wet, wild grass. The host mother walks out and gently places a handmade yogurt in your hand, beside a warm corn cake fresh from the wood-fired oven. No noise, no rush, no traffic. Just you, the mountains, and a peace you may have forgotten how to feel. Of course, Albania also has things to keep in mind. The best healthcare is in the capital, Tirana. If you live deep in the mountains, you'll need to be prepared. And winters can be cold, especially in the northern valleys where snow covers everything and daylight arrives late. But in exchange, it's the kind of cold that belongs to nature, not the cold that comes from stress, debt, or bills stacked higher than mountains. Albania isn't perfect, but it is a place where people genuinely want to know who you are, where the mountains hold you like an old friend, and where living costs are so low that you can finally breathe after years of struggle in the American system. If you've ever dreamed of a slower life, a place where every morning begins with mist and a sincere smile, Albania might be the new chapter you've been waiting for. Country 4, Laos. A country where time slows, meals cost $1, and rural families host you as if you belong there. There are countries you visit to travel, and then there are places you arrive in and feel as if you're returning to something old, familiar, and warm, even if you've never been there before. Laos is one of those rare places, peaceful, slow, gentle, and so calm that the moment you step into the country, your heartbeat seems to adjust to its quieter rhythm. For Americans, entering Laos is incredibly simple. A U.S. passport gives you 30 days, and you can extend it easily if you want to stay longer and live a more relaxed life. If you want to stay for a few months or even half a year, a long-term volunteer visa is also easy to obtain, especially if you teach English help with community projects or join agricultural programs. Here, paperwork isn't a barrier. No one burdens you with endless forms. You come and you are welcomed. But what makes Laos a place where you can live almost for free is the way people treat you in the villages along the Mekong River. In these small rural communities, you can stay for free, eat for free, and all you give back is 2 to 3 hours of very light work, carrying water to the garden, picking vegetables in the morning, helping children pronounce English words, or tidying up a communal kitchen. The work is so gentle that it never feels like an obligation. It feels like you've become part of the household. If you want something even more meaningful, Buddhist temple stays are a hidden treasure hardly any foreigner knows about. You are given a simple room, offered 3 vegetarian meals a day, completely free, in exchange for 1-2 hours of light tasks, like sweeping the courtyard, assisting in the kitchen, or arranging seats during morning ceremonies. You wake up to the sound of chanting echoing through bamboo forests drifting through the morning mist. No car horns, no deadlines, just a soft, healing stillness. If you prefer to live independently, the cost is astonishingly low, a room for $100, $180 meals for $1.15, and a total monthly budget of $250, $350. This isn't extreme budget living. It's a lifestyle where money simply stops being something you fear waking up to. But the real charm of Laos isn't in the numbers. It's in the cinematic quality of daily life, the kind that hundreds of Americans come here to rediscover. In the late afternoon, the sun sinks into the Mekong, painting the sky in purple-orange sunsets that feel unreal. Small wooden stilt houses sway softly in the breeze among bamboo forests. In the morning, you sip hot tea on the porch while listening to monks chanting in a nearby temple, not a cold silence, but a healing silence that fills you from the inside. Of course, Laos has its limitations. The healthcare system is modest, so having travel insurance is essential, And because most locals speak Lao or Thai, learning a few simple words like Sabai hello or Kop chai thank you will help you connect instantly. Laos isn't for those who crave a fast-paced neon lights or luxury conveniences. But if you're searching for a place where each day passes as softly as a breath, where you don't need to rush, don't need to fear the next bill, and don't need to prove anything to anyone, then Laos is one of the most honest answers the world can offer you. Country 3, Montenegro. Live almost free between fjord-like bays, mountain farms, and quiet Adriatic villages. Montenegro is a small European gem, so small that you could easily overlook it on the map, yet once you arrive, you'll find yourself standing in front of some of the most breathtaking scenery in the entire continent. For Americans, entering Montenegro is simple. A U.S. passport gives you 90 days, more than enough time to feel the rhythm of life here. And if you want to stay longer, applying for temporary residence is very doable, especially if you teach English or volunteer during tourist season. Everything is straightforward, gentle, and nowhere near as rigid or bureaucratic as many other European countries. But what makes Montenegro a place where you can live almost for free are the small communities nestled between mountains and the sea, places where people still live traditionally and are always willing to share whatever they have. In the Dermator region, mountain farms open their doors to foreigners, as if welcoming relatives returning after many years. You're given a simple wooden room, meals made from fresh local ingredients, homemade cheese, fresh milk, potatoes lifted straight from the earth, and in exchange you perform just 3 hours of light tasks, picking potatoes, stirring cheese, feeding animals, or gathering firewood. Everything feels simple and peaceful, like living in a slowed-down version of the world. If you prefer the sea, the Bay of Kotor, often called the Mediterranean Fjord, has homestays that offer free accommodation if you help welcome guests, guide tourists, or do small morning chores. In these places, you don't just live for free, you feel the genuine hospitality of Montenegrin families, a quiet, unpretentious kindness. If you choose to pay your own way, the cost remains surprisingly low. A room costs $180, $280, warm meals, $3 to $5, and monthly living expenses typically total $450, $600, far cheaper than any other Mediterranean country. This isn't extreme budget living. It's simply a lifestyle where cost isn't an enemy. And then Montenegro leaves you with moments so cinematic, they stay with you forever. The emerald green Bay of Kotor, surrounded by steep mountains, looks like a living watercolor painting created by nature. Children in seaside villages jump from ancient stone piers into the cool water, their laughter echoing across the bay as if summer never ends. At night, the entire town sinks into such deep silence that you can hear the wind brushing across the roof and the gentle sound of waves tapping against the rocks. It's the kind of peace many Americans forgot even existed, a peace you don't have to pay for. Of course, there are things to keep in mind. Prices rise during tourist season, as Montenegro is becoming increasingly popular. And in some rural areas, very few people speak English, so learning a few local phrases will make life much easier. But if you're looking for a place where you can live on very little money, surrounded by breathtaking mountains and sea among kind people, light work, and a life that returns to simplicity, then Montenegro may be one of the most unexpected gifts the world can offer you. Country 2, Nicaragua. One of the cheapest countries on earth, farm stays, volcano views, and ultra-low living costs. Nicaragua is one of those rare countries where the moment you arrive you feel like you've stepped into a different world, a world where nature is bigger than your worries, where life moves slowly and where the cost of living is so low you can't help but wonder, why didn't I come here sooner? With a U.S. passport, you can stay 90 days, and if you want more time, you simply take a quick visa run to Costa Rica, a common, easy routine used by expats for years. What makes Nicaragua an ideal place for almost free living is its network of farm stays around Grenada and the island of Ometepe. These places offer you free accommodation and local meals, and in exchange you give 3 hours of gentle work, tending gardens, harvesting cacao, or helping create organic fertilizer. The tasks are simple grounding and reconnect you with a kind of natural peace that many Americans lose in the fast pace of modern life. There are also lakefront eco-lodges, especially around Ometepe, that let you stay for free if you help 2-3 hours a day with kitchen prep or light housekeeping. A few hours of easy work, and the rest of the day is entirely yours to read under a mango tree, watch the water shimmer, or sit quietly while the world moves gently around you. If you choose to live independently, the costs are astonishingly low. Rooms are just $120, $200 meals, $1.5 to $3, and monthly living expenses range from $300, $450. For many Americans, that's the cost of just a few days back home, yet here, it's enough for a full, comfortable month of living. And then there's the cinematic beauty of Nicaragua, the kind that stays with you long after you've left. Lake Ometepe, with its twin volcanoes, Concepcion and Maderas reflected on its calm surface, looks like a living painting. In the evening, you sit on a black sand beach, eating a $2 grilled fish, listening to gentle waves, and feeling the soft tropical breeze melt away tension you didn't even realize you were carrying. Here, life doesn't rush, it breathes. Of course, there are things you should keep in mind. Healthcare in Nicaragua is basic, so if you need consistent medical services, it's best to stay near larger cities like Managua or Grenada. The country also experiences occasional mild earthquakes, though they rarely pose serious danger. Nicaragua may not be the most famous destination on the travel map, but for anyone searching for a place that offers slower days, cleaner air, deeper peace, and a life that doesn't drain your wallet, this country is one of the most genuine, comforting answers the world has to offer. Country 1, Philippines, island living, where homestays feed you islands, shelter you, and life feels free. The Philippines is more than a country. It is a feeling of warmth, gentleness, and freedom that's difficult to find anywhere else in Asia. With a U.S. passport, you can stay 30 days, and the remarkable thing is that the Philippines has the easiest visa extensions in Southeast Asia, allowing you to stay from 2 months up to 36 months without complicated paperwork. For older Americans, the SRRV retirement visa is almost a golden doorway, chosen by thousands for its flexibility and affordability. Here, they don't just give you a visa, they give you the chance to begin a new chapter of life. What makes the Philippines the #1 choice for almost free living is the naturally open family culture of its people. In beachfront homestays, you're offered free accommodation and 2 meals a day in exchange for just 2 hours of simple tasks like helping in the kitchen, tidying up, or watching the children while the hosts go to the market. The work is so light, it feels less like labor and more like helping relatives. And truly, many Americans say it takes only a few days in the Philippines to forget the idea of host and guest. All that remains is family. There are also organic coconut farms throughout the Visayas and Mindanao that welcome foreigners into a simple communal lifestyle. You receive a clean bed, 3 meals a day made from coconut vegetables and fish, and in return you contribute about 3 hours of work harvesting coconuts, tending the garden, drying fruit. These farms aren't commercial operations. They're small communities where people live together, care for each other, and share whatever they have. If you choose to live independently, the cost is astonishingly low. Rent ranges from $150 to $260, and local meals cost only $2. Most people live comfortably on $350 to $500 a month, enough to enjoy the beauty of island life without financial stress. But what truly makes the Philippines stand out are the cinematic moments you don't need to search for, they simply unfold around you. Each morning you wake up to a glass-clear sunrise over Sikihor, the sun rising from the horizon like a golden drop melting into the sea. The scent of ripe mango and fresh coconut drifts into your room through an open window. Children run along the village pathways by the beach, their laughter bright and warm like the summer sun. These are moments you could never buy only live. Of course, there are things to keep in mind. Healthcare is best in Manila and Cebu, where hospitals are modern, and doctors often train in the US or Europe. Some coastal areas and small islands are prone to typhoons, so choosing a stable location is important. But even with these considerations, the Philippines remains one of the few places on Earth where Americans can feel that life isn't a race, isn't a never-ending list of bills, but a journey meant to be felt, breathed, and enjoyed. In the Philippines, you don't just live cheaply. You live gently, you live honestly, you live free. As we travel through these 5 countries, each with its own rhythm, color, and breath, what stays with us isn't just the unbelievably low cost of living or the surprisingly easy visas. What remains is a question many Americans never dare to ask themselves. Am I truly living, or just trying to survive? In Albania, you wake up to the sound of a river and a bowl of homemade yogurt. In Laos, time slows enough for you to hear the heartbeat of peace. In Montenegro, the sunset over the bay feels like an invitation to rest. In Nicaragua, a $2 grilled fish tastes like a feast from a simpler life. And in the Philippines, a single burst of children's laughter can remind you of happiness you thought you had lost. No place is perfect, but each of these places holds something America is slowly losing: a life where a human being doesn't have to sacrifice their soul just to pay the rent. So, if you're tired, overwhelmed, or feeling squeezed by the numbers in your bank account, remember this: there are still places in this world where life doesn't have to be expensive to be kind. And now I want to hear from you. If you could choose one place to live a gentler life, which would it be? Leave a comment, not for me, but for yourself, as a reminder that you deserve something better. If this video gave you hope, new options, or even just made you smile, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Who knows, in the near future, you might be the one boarding a plane to a place where your heart finally feels at peace.